from Boston Sports Journal and, of course, the All 32 podcast. Mr. Giardi, how are you?
What's going on? I hear thing one there. Andy has a tummy ache. Just to contrast, by the way, I was outside burning stuff, chainsaw, like manly, like just, and then Andy's got a bellyache.
Oh man, you were just getting after it, having a dude day, huh? That's awesome.
Oh my God, yeah, totally.
We know the definition of a man around here, Mike Giardi. We know we know how you compare to Andy Hart.
I love it. On his 500 thread count sheets at Shea Giardi. So, Mike, we haven't had a chance to talk to you since the trade deadline, so I'll just open up there in anticipation of Sunday's big game down in Tampa. Pats supposedly try to make some moves. They do or don't engage with the Titans, and in the end, don't acquire any new starters, any alts, or any depth pieces. What was your thought?
Well, I wasn't mad at him, but I would say it's a little bit of a missed opportunity, just in the sense that you took the week before, you spun off Keion White and Kyle Duggar, who were both rotational pieces for you or depth pieces for you, and you got rid of them. And I'm like, all right, well, look, Keion White thing wasn't working at all, but Kyle played 2 straight games when Jalen Hawkins was out and didn't come off the field. And again, he's not a perfect fit for what they want to do, but he held the fort down and maybe played his best game in like a year and a half during that process. So I get the contract thing and you want to move the contract, but I figured something would be coming back. And instead the something that's coming back is, John Saunders, the practice squad guy from Miami, and Brendan Rice signed to the practice squad. That's not exactly what I expected.
In lieu of that, Mike, with the roster kind of now set for the most part with no big additions coming, where are the biggest areas of weakness in terms of the depth on this roster, given that the team chose not to address them at the deadline?
Well, I would say safety for starters, right? I mean, you've already had a situation where Hawkins has had the hamstring, and this time I like Del Pettis as a player, but they're not a one-for-one trade. So, that would you'd be foisting a lot on a second-year undrafted free agent in Del Pettis. That'd be an area I think you're going to see this weekend, just the testing of, and this is kind of funny to say the way it went the first couple of weeks, but Christian Ellis has been playing good football for you, and you do have Tavai there, so it gives you a little bit more cushion, but you're probably going to see a little bit more Jack Gibbons, and that's probably not the greatest thing for that defense. And then edge, you're having a problem consistently generating pass rush. They need more. I said it last week. They need more from the interior guys in terms of affecting the quarterback. But the outside guys, especially Harold Landry, a lot of snaps, dealing with an injury, hasn't been sort of the same player since that Saints game.
Hey, Mike, I'm curious what you think. What's at stake here in this game for the Patriots from the Patriots' perspective? They got a good little kind of a little season going here, 7-2. Arguably they're the best number 1 seed right now, I think, in the AFC. But just your thoughts on what's at stake here. If they losing this game versus winning this game, what do you think this game represents for the Patriots?
Well, it's the biggest game they played on the schedule since Buffalo, right? And not to diminish the wins that have come in between those games, right? But the Buffalo game was all right, show me what you got. And they did. And they showed a lot of people hey, they went toe-to-toe, and they actually beat Buffalo in Buffalo, which sort of, I think, maybe helped alter the view of how this season could play. And now for the first time since then, you're playing a team that's got a record like yours. They're 6-2. They're coming off the bye. A lot of hype about them in the first month of the season. They've come down to earth a little bit, I think in part because of injuries. But, you go to Tampa Bay and you win in Tampa Bay, even with the injuries, that's another one, another sort of feather that you can put in your cap and say, doesn't matter where we go, doesn't matter who we play. I know what you can say about our schedule, but we're taking on all comers and we're beating them.
Mike Giardi from the Boston Sports Journal and the All 32 podcast, friend of the show, joining us here on WEEI Afternoons on a Patriots Friday. Mike, I wonder with the focus that's come this week on, with Drake Maye talking about the accountability in his role and getting sacked so frequently, and then obviously having to deal with such a ferocious defense coming from Tampa. Are we going to see, you think, a more conservative, steady, or measured game plan from the Pats offensively against Tampa?
I don't think so. I think Josh McDaniels kind of was just like yesterday when I asked about and it wasn't the proper phrasing, and he kind of, I don't know if I used the word fix, but how do you sort of minimize some of these sacks that Drake has said, like, hey, it's on me. And if you looked at 3 of the last 6 in the game against Atlanta, we're on him. Like, he just held the ball too long and, just throw the ball away. That's just not in his nature. And I think Josh said, it's experience, right? He's only played 21 games as a starter, so he's still learning this process. But it's also like, hey, he makes a lot of good plays out of structure or when he hangs onto the ball and waits that extra beat. And so that's part of what we're going to have to live with. And that's a strange way to put it, but that's part of the deal, right? Like, you have this young mobile quarterback who throws the ball great down the field, who thinks at times he can make a play, and he's done it a lot this year. So it's like you want him to protect himself more, and that's just going to come with more experience. But for now, it might just be like, this is how it's going to be. There might be a sack or two a game where you go, Drake, I wish you'd thrown the ball away. But then there might be a play or two a game where it's like, that guy didn't throw a ball away, and he found that, Kayshon Boutte 40 yards down the field, or Steph Diggs or Pop Douglas. Like, those are the sorts of things and the balance that he's trying to walk here.
Mike, no Kayshon Boutte in what has been a breakout season for him, especially on the deep ball. So who's the player I'm taking the over on for the receiving yards? Who's the player to watch in the pass game this week?
I think it comes down to Diggs again. He's been a little bit quiet 3 of the last 4 weeks, at least in terms of volume catches. Obviously, he's gotten the end zone the last 2 weeks. But I just think the 2 guys that he trusts the most of the receivers are Diggs and Kayshon. You take Kayshon out of it, I'm sure Kyle Williams will get more run. Although I would bet that there's going to be some mixing and matching there at the X. But to me, it would be Diggs, and just sort of, hey, this is another one of those big games, buddy. And you showed in Buffalo, you showed out, and you've had a history of doing some stuff like this. So let's get it going again.
So, Mike, in my 3-point stance, I kind of reference just the buy-in right now, and it's hard to quantify buy-in, but I just played some cuts of guys talking about Mike, how much they love Mike, but also when you hear that 41 guys showed up for their workouts on Tuesday when it was their day off, that to me signals to me that there's total buy-in. Do you feel the same way, and are you surprised by how fast Mike has been able to get these guys to believe in what he's been selling them?
In part, Ted, I think because they were so intentional about some of the pieces that they did bring in the offseason, the guys like Milton Williams, hey, we're going to spend a crap ton of money on a guy who hasn't necessarily, he'd never been a full-time player before. So you're taking a little bit of a leap of faith, but you do the investigation and you talk to people and like, this dude works. This dude wants to be great. When given the opportunity in Philadelphia, he was great or really damn good. So, I think there were a lot of pieces. And then bringing some of the guys that he knew, I mentioned Jack Gibbons. That's a guy who he works his ass off every day. There's some limitations to his game, but, he knows and respects Mike and knows that Mike's going to put him in the best position possible. And I think that's kind of the thing that I come back to is I think it's pretty easy to buy in, Ted, and maybe you can speak to this too. When you know your coach is going to put you in the best spot possible, doesn't matter whether the coach is a good guy, bad guy, whatever, gruff, hey, I know that I'm going to show up on Sunday and I have a chance to have a real good game because I'm in a role that fits me perfectly. And I think he's done a great job with the pieces this year, even some of the depth pieces, plugging him into places and saying, hey, we've come away from games and like, Christian Ellis is pretty good that game. And, whatever, name the piece, that sort of the middle of the roster guys. And I just think that's been something that's really, then you start winning. So now you have the combination. He's put me in the right place and we're winning. Oh yeah. Whatever you want me to do, coach, I'll run through a wall for you right now.
So, Mike, we're getting close to wrapping up here. I'm not sure if you had a chance to see the game last night, or should I say, sorry if you happened to. What an absolute trash fire that game was.
Hideous, absolutely hideous.
Oh,
can we tap the brakes on the Bo Nix love? Jeez.
Teddy, thank you. Tom Curran and I, it was a friendly argument on TV on Wednesday, and he's like, I can't believe they had me do my power ranks, and I had Denver 5th or 6th or something. How can Denver be that far down? That's a really good team. That defense is great. Somebody might have texted me last night in the third quarter of that game. Somebody might have said, you're right, Bo Nix, not good. I won't tell you who. You can take a guess, but I just,
Rhymes with Mom Shurin.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, so this is a huge opportunity for these Patriots. Obviously, Mike, to lose by 3 or 4, be in it against a team that could be a Super Bowl contender would be massive as well. But the AFC is still so freaking wide open at this point now. So I think this is more than just all right, guys, we flew down there and had a good game. massive opportunity at hand. So I got them by 3. How do you see it playing out?
The more I dug into this thing and the more I looked at some of the things that are happening with Tampa Bay offensively, and now looking at Bucky Irving and Godwin, and we know Evans isn't going to be there. Like, I don't think their offense can run with your offense. I think you're going to outscore them. I think you're going to win the football game.
Okay, Mike. Last question from this side of the street. What are your thoughts overall on the deals that were done at the trade deadline? Do you think the Colts made out? Do you think both the Colts and the Jets made out? Do you like the deal Jacksonville did? What are your thoughts about some of the decisions or non-decisions some of the teams made at the trade deadline?
Well, I think the first thing that stood out to me, Ted, was the fact that less than a year ago, you were the worst team in the league, and it took the Bills out-tanking you in the last game for you not to get the number 1 pick. And here you are, whatever it was, 9-10 months later, you're 7-2. You got the 2nd seed right now currently, and you're atop the AFC East. Meanwhile, the Jets took 2 of their 3 cornerstone players, one who's 28 in Quinnen Williams and one who's 25 in Sauce Gardner, and they peddle them off for draft picks. And then Miami, they fired the GM 2 weeks ago. The head coach is, hanging on by a thread. And I think the quarterback is, it wouldn't surprise me if he's gone at the end of the year, whether that means trading him or eating the money and just saying we're taking that Russell Wilson type dead cap hit. So that really stood out to me, how quickly the positions have changed here in the AFC East and what better position you're in now. And then from the Colts perspective, Ted, look, they were going to be picking in the late 20s this year. So, everybody talks about the draft capital and that's a lot to give up. And it is a lot to give up because it's also the cost control. But you can't guarantee that you're going to get a player as good as Sauce Gardner. You'll be lucky if one of those 2 players that you're drafting in the 20s or whatever becomes a really good player for you down the line and becomes a player that's as talented as Sauce Gardner. So I get it from their side too. It's a price to pay, but they believe that they got a chance. So what the hell? Go for it.
As he tweeted last night at 10:50 p.m., why am I still watching this game? Mike, you are truly you're a glutton for punishment, and you're one of us as well. Give him a follow at Mike Giardi on the socials as well. Joins us each and every Friday at 3:30 p.m. on WEEI Afternoons, Patriots Fridays. Mike, have a great weekend, buddy. Go back to the manly man activities you were engaged in.
Yes, men stuff. Yes, absolutely.
Thanks, Mike.
Man,
See you guys.
all right. Great chatting with you, buddy. Mike Giardi and his man stuff here on WEEI Afternoons.